Welcome to our discussion of Pesach Workshop 5780. This workshop is good for any year, but it's particularly designed for this particular year, COVID virus crisis, and also for Memphis, Tennessee, and Anshe Sfard Bethel Emeth congregation. So, what are we doing now? A few weeks before Pesach, what is our role? So Rashi tells us that 30 days before Pesach, not only is it time to give drashos and give lectures and answer questions about Pesach, but the chovas habir, the obligation to destroy chametz, is upon us. So the Gemara says we have to get rid of all mixtures of chametz 30 days before Pesach. So our job is to eat as much as we can. Now this year is a little different. Why? Some people may have already hoarded a lot of food. Let's say you bought 50 boxes of pasta, so you won't have any shortage. So then it's not so easy to sell that to a Gentile. So this year, we can be more lenient to rely on the sale of chametz. Usually, I would say, before Pesach, try to get rid of all your chametz, all your bread and pasta and cookies and cake mixes, and you'll get rid of them, and it's not such a big deal. But this year, you may be either financially, it may be difficult to get rid of this huge storage house of stuff, toilet paper and other things that you've taken into your supply room. Secondly, you may be insecure about whether you'd have pasta afterwards. So in that case, you could leave the things in your closet and you put them away and you make sure you don't have anything to do with them on Pesach and you sell them to a Gentile. Usually we encourage people to come in person to appoint the rabbi as a messenger to sell your chametz to a Gentile. The thing is that this year, rabbi and the congregant, we don't want to come in contact with each other with this shaking the pen or the handkerchief, because it could lead to problems. Maybe we're going to transmit the COVID virus. So in order to maintain social distancing, we've designed that you go to the CRC, the Chicago Rabbinical Council. They have a wonderful website. They have a Google form. We sent it in the email. You click there. You sell your chametz you appoint Rabbi Reese as a messenger or his designee as a messenger to sell your chametz to a Gentile, and you're done. But there's a custom to shake that pen. So what do? Number one, as Rav Schechter explains, the idea of a pen is to say that it's serious. So what we do is we say, I appoint you with a complete heart, with all seriousness. Number two, you can do something else. You can use a third party. You can't stand there with me. You can't stand there with Rabbi Reese. He's in Chicago. What you can do is you can stand with a friend. Take a friend, Jewish fellow, lady, and you say, take your pen and lift it up and give it to me. And you take it or you lift up the pen. And then by lifting that pen, you officially show that you appoint Rabbi Reese as your messenger or his designee. It shows the seriousness of it. If you don't understand what I just said, or you can't do it, or you live by yourself, don't worry about it. Fill out the form, you're fine. If you get confused by the form, we have the old style form, which just says you appoint Rabbi Reese or his designee as your messenger, and that's it. And these are your products, this is where you live. The usual form that we have doesn't say my name, it says Rabbi Reese's name. And it's all good, and you do it with a complete heart. And you send it to us, take a picture and email it. You can mail it as long as it's well before Pesach, and you're all set. Now, don't forget that this year we have to have an Eruv Tafshilin. Whenever Pesach Yontif falls right before Pesach, or before Shabbos, Thursday and a Friday, or just a Friday, then you have to have an Eruv Tafshilin. You have to designate some food, because after all, it wouldn't be right to prepare food to cook on Friday, not for Friday for Yontif, but for Shabbos. It's a disrespect for Yontif. And also, we're afraid you might not make enough for that Shabbos. Everyone's thinking about the Seder, and that Shabbos you're gonna have leftovers. So what do? Eruv Tafshilin. The Talmud Beitzah says we should set aside an egg, something cooked in water, and a matzah, something baked, and we set it aside. And we say bracha over it, al mitzvah eruv, and then we say with this eruv, it would be permissible for me to cook and to set aside food, to put up your cholent, and to carry and to do anything, all of our needs that we're allowed to do on Yontif, be allowed to do that for Shabbos on Friday, and for us and everyone else. Once you forget, you can rely on the rabbi to do it for you. Otherwise, you have to do it yourself. Otherwise, you're not really permitted to do a lot of things before Shabbos. Just lighting candles on Friday for Shabbos can be complicated. You want to make an Erev Tavshilin this year and other years like this. Now, then the night before Pesach, you want to have the Bedikas Chametz. You want to check for Chametz. Now, generally, that's all the Talmud prescribes. You don't have to clean your house. You just have to check for Chametz. There's a custom, Ramah mentions, you clean the house first. But don't obsess over that. If this year you don't have someone to help you with the cleaning, no one wants to come in your house. You don't want other people to come in your house. You don't want to get germs from other people. The cleaning services, you don't want to do that. So, well, take it easy. Look around the house. Make sure there's no chametz. Maybe you put a granola bar in your raincoat pocket. Maybe you have some leftover food that you stored away somewhere. Maybe you have candy that you put away somewhere. Usually candies are not really bread or anything like that, but maybe there's something that's a granola bar someplace. So look around and try to clean the best you can. A little vacuuming, a little this, and you're good. The main place to worry about is the kitchen, and we'll talk about how to prepare our kitchen shortly. Now, on the eve of Pesach, there's several things. Number one, that what do you eat on the eve of Pesach? Well, until in Memphis on this particular year, 10:29, until 10:29 in the morning, you can eat whatever you want. You can have a bagel. After 10:29, you can still have that bagel, but you got to get rid of it by 11:45. What can you eat? Well, you're not allowed to eat matzah on the eve of Pesach. Most people have a custom that 2 weeks or a month before Pesach, we don't eat matzah. What about chametz? Can't eat chametz after 10:29. What about egg matzah? You can only eat it till 10:29 because we don't consider egg matzah to be so kosher for Pesach. You don't have to throw it away, but you shouldn't eat it on Pesach. So kind of limited. And that's the idea, to build up your appetite before the Seder and enjoy it. But you can have a piece of fish, and you can have an egg, and you can have yogurt before all afternoon throughout the day. There's also a custom to burn your chametz. Now, some people are used to burning it communally, or maybe you burn it with your son or your grandson. But this year is a little, it's hard to meet with other people. So we wouldn't recommend that anyone meet with people that they're not living in their household with. So it's okay. You don't have to burn the chametz in a fire. You could flush it down the toilet or just get rid of it. Make sure you don't have any at that time. If you can, take a little tin can, and put some lulavs in there, or put some newspaper, put a little bit of chametz, not too much, difficult fire, and you burn it. And with that, you can annul your chametz. We check at night and we annul. At night, we make a bracha before the checking. We check and we annul at night for anything we haven't seen. In the morning, we burn or we flush it down the toilet, whatever we do. And then we annul the chametz. It's very important to annul your chametz before Pesach. Even if you don't check or you don't annul or you don't do anything, annul your chametz. It's very simple. Just say, I want any chametz I have should be like nothing. It should be like dust. It should be ownerless. I have nothing to do with it anymore. It's not mine anymore. Speaking of that, before Pesach, sometimes we buy some new vessels. We buy a new pot. We buy a new fork, a new spatula. Especially this year, some people are alone and making Pesach by themselves for the first time. They're buying new vessels. So they want to go to the mikveh. Well, firstly, we don't want to go to the mikveh. You have to go to the office and you have to see people. So the Baron Hirsch mikveh is open. We're not using our mikveh for kelim, for vessels. We want to limit it. So what do? So this year, on the guidance of Rav Shatter, we're allowed to do the following. We can declare our vessels ownerless. You need 3 people. You have to declare that in front of 3 people. So you can call me, and I'll get a few people on the line, and we'll declare your vessels ownerless before Pesach. You could also find the Gentile, give him $1, and with that he'll be a partner with you in your chametz, in your pot. And when a Gentile is part owner of a pot, you don't have to take it to the mikveh. Good. Now we talk about preparing the kitchen for Pesach. Do this before that 11:45 in the morning. You have to kosherize our kitchen. So, number one, there are counters. Ideally, we take hot water. We boil the water to the point where it's bubbling, big bubbles, or on the kettle you could hear a huge noise. And then you pour the water, the kettle, or with a pot, and you pour it along. I have a video on how to kosherize your kitchen. You can look at that. CRC has another video, many videos about that. You pour the water along the surface of all the counters, and then pour cold water on it, dry it off, get some towel, you cover it, and you're done. Why do you cover it? Most of us have Formica counters. There's a minor question whether you can actually kosherize Formica. So we cover it with something else, butcher paper, tin foil, whatever you want. You can make another covering. However, if you're, let's say, elderly, or it's hard for you to lift, you're a woman by yourself, sometimes it's hard to lift a big pot and pour the water, and they can be dangerous and get. So this year, maybe you can be more lenient. You don't have to bring your grandson over. You can simply cover those surfaces in a strong way, scotch tape it down, and you cover the surfaces of that. But the sink is more complicated. The sink, you have to use the sink. You can't cover your sink, tin foil. So the sink, it's very simple. Take a kettle of water. Make sure that kettle is not used for 24 hours. Same thing. Make sure the pot wasn't used for 24 hours. It could be milk inflation, it doesn't make a difference. Pesach pot, not a Pesach pot, doesn't matter. It wasn't used for 24 hours. Take that kettle, and then you boil it up so much that it's going crazy. It's steaming, and it's making all the whistles it can make. And then you take it and you pour it over all the sides of the surfaces of your sink, all the sides. Try to take a little saucepan also and put the spigot from your sink. Put the pot, put the nozzle from your sink into the pot so that it's also, you boil that as well. Good. A water urn, just let it rest for 24 hours, as often we do between weeks. Then turn it on, pour the water through, heat up the water, pour it through, and also maybe put a little pot underneath the spigot so that the pot goes into maybe at least a cup of water or something, hot water, to kosherize the spigot as well. Good. What about the stovetop? Very easy. If it's a metal stovetop where you have the what they call the coils, the metal coils that turn orange. When they turn orange, it's kosher. I want to leave it on for 15 minutes, half an hour, fine. But it basically, when it turns orange, it's red hot. It's the best kosher you can have. If you have gas stove, turn it on for a half hour, an hour, let it burn off all the residue. But you have to make sure the grates are clean. If the grates are disgusting, you can't do it. You have to clean the grates first. Maybe put a little easy off on them so they're really disgusting. No one want to eat anything after it had that easy off on it. And then boil, and then let the gas go on with the flames, high flame, the highest flame for half an hour. You're good. Everything's great. What if you have a glass stove top? We don't recommend a glass stove top, but many people have it. It's all right. You turn on all the burners as high as can be. Let it rest for 24 hours. Turn all the burners on as high as can be, and then it's kosherized. Try not to put anything in the spaces in between. If you want to risk it, you can pour hot water on the burners while it's on. I don't guarantee if it'll survive. I think we did it once or twice. It survived. I can't guarantee. That's why those stovetops are difficult. Consult with your local electrician exactly how that works. But certainly if you kosherize the burners and put things on top of the burners, should be okay. In your oven. So if you have a self-cleaning oven, you turn it on, you leave it for 24 hours without any heat. You turn it on, you self-clean it, it's done. If you have two ovens, one is not self-cleaning, put all the trays inside the self-cleaning oven so they'll all be done. In a regular oven, you use Easy Off all over the surface so that any residue is not tasty anymore. It's nosin talmud gam, it gives a terrible taste. It's not chametz anymore. It's a chemical. Who knows what it is? Then turn it on as high as can be for an hour on 500 for an hour, and that should do it. Able to keep it on for 3 hours. That's great. Those are the basic things to kosherize our kitchens. What about the refrigerator? Just try to make sure the shelves are clean. And if you want to cover it with paper, additionally, that's very good. What about the microwave? You can kosherize it, but the tray underneath is best to redo. So it's better. So unless you can get a new tray, probably a little late to do that. Don't use your microwave. But if you need to, then at least cover the microwave tray and make sure that you clean the microwave, leave it for 24 hours, then put a cup of water in there, let it burn out for 3 minutes on high, and that should do it. Put it in a few more minutes, it'll also be good. Toaster oven should not be used. Dishwasher generally do not recommend. Now, moving along to guests. This year, the people are recommending that you should not have guests, and it's very sad. A lot of people will be by themselves. I know I won't have some of my children with me, my newlywed children, and my mother-in-law, and some of my nieces and nephews, and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law will not be coming. So many people who usually come will not be coming. But there's nothing to cry about here. I have a little family, but some people are going to be completely alone. And it's tragic, but it's worse to get COVID virus and, God forbid, pneumonia, and who knows what happens. So it's recommended that if you're by yourself, you remain by yourself, you get a Haggadah, you speak to your rabbi, you will watch this video, other videos, other information, you read up on it, go to the OU website, the Torah website, the Chabad website, the CRC website, the Star K website. You go and you learn about it, and you read up on it, and you get as many things as you can, and you do the best you can. You make a Seder plate, you put you look it up, you'll see that you put the roasted egg and the shank bone you put farther away, and the charoses put in the middle, the moro you put in the middle, and the romaine you put closer to you. Good. And then you have 3 matzahs, and you follow the directions of the Haggadah. You're in great shape. If you don't have Haggadah, you can probably print it off the internet. Chabad.org has a Haggadah. The Sefaria.org has a Haggadah. You go there, you get a Haggadah, you print it off. Everybody can have a Haggadah. It's not that complicated. When you have the romaine lettuce, ideally, many scientists, many rabbis in their footsteps claim that the real moro, the real bitter herbs, is not that very bitter grain, the horseradish. It's good to have horseradish for fun, for filter fish. But as far as the moro, the romaine is the main thing. They have like 3 big pieces of romaine lettuce, and then have it again for the sandwich. That's the main thing. But romaine could have bugs, so you cut off the edge, put it in the water, shake it around, see if there are any bugs. Look at each piece, see if there's any bugs in there. Particularly, at least if there are 3 pieces without anything, that's great. Every piece also good. Or put some tiny bit of dishwasher, the dish detergent, kosher dish detergent in there to get some of the bugs to come to the fore. Or put a little kosher, a Pesach vegetable wash in there. It's better. But main thing is you check, you agitate it in water, soak it a little bit, look on the light, on the light box, see there's no bugs, you're good to go. You know there's no bugs in there for Pesach. The matzahs, sometimes people get confused. I'm going to do a Seder by myself. What do I do about the matzahs? It's not that complicated. Usually you have 2 loaves of bread every Shabbos, every Yom Tov. Remember the double portion of man that fell in the desert. But for Pesach, we have 3. Why? Because we want to break 1 piece. So we're going to have 2 whole loaves and 1 broken one. What do we do with the other broken piece? We save it for the afikomen. If you lose it or you forgot, as long as you eat the afikomen, you eat all the things you're supposed to eat, it's fine. It doesn't have to be exactly like this. But the custom is that the first 2 pieces are eaten, the broken one and the top one are eaten for the first piece of matzah, the korech sandwich from the 3rd piece of matzah, and the afikomen from that other half that you broke off from the middle piece and you put away. Don't worry about it. Don't get obsessed over it. The main thing is to have matzah 3 times. Once at the beginning for the mitzvah of matzah, once for the sandwich, once at the end for the afikomen. You're all set. How much matzah you have? Some people say, just have a little piece. But if you have 3/4 of a matzah, that's definitely great, terrific, fantastic. Great. The charosas, how do you make charosas? Whole crisis. Well, very simple ingredients. I have a video about that, how to make charosas. Sephardic charosas, regular Ashkenazi charosas. The regular charosas, very simple. You take apples, you take cinnamon, you take wine or grape juice, and nuts, walnuts, and you grind them together. Good. If you can't get walnuts, you can use different nuts. And if you can't get that, you could have raisins and dates. Rambam's recipe. Rambam's recipe is very simple. You have raisins and dates. Put them in a saucepan. You smash them up a little bit. You mush them up a little bit. A little vinegar in there. A little cinnamon. And that's your charosas. It's delicious. You can try it. Take my word for it. Now, what about the length of the Seder? Sometimes people have a lot of guests, or even if you have a small Seder, you have a particular guest who wants to go fast, and what? Well, ideally, you read the whole Haggadah. It's a custom. We read the entire Haggadah. The story is told 4 times. It's good to tell something 4 times. But make sure you tell at least one story. Avadim Hayinu, we were slaves. Our fathers, our ancestors worshipped idols. Laban tried to destroy our children. Try to tell one of the stories from the beginning to the end. The Mishnah Berurah says that the main thing is make sure you say that Rabbi Gamliel said that you have to say these 3 things to explain the matzah, explain the Pesach, and the Mor. You have to explain those 3 things. The Rabbi Gamliel section, that's very important. Good. It's important to have the 4 cups. Very important. Don't drag it out and then say, it's too late, we'll go to sleep and forget about it. We got to make sure we drink all the 4 cups. If you want to read it more quickly, that's fine. It's a nice idea to go hamarviv, as a reason meshubah, go late as you can, long as you can, but within reason. By 1 o'clock, you have to finish because there is an idea of finishing Afikomen before 1 o'clock. After that, after Afikomen, you can sing later as well. We do want to stay healthy. Maybe it's a year to go to sleep a little earlier because we have to keep ourselves healthy and strong so we won't get that virus. We won't transmit it to others as well. Davening at home is very simple. We just try to say the Marv in the evening, Shacharis in the morning. Try to say the Shema by the right time for Shema. In Memphis, it's around 9:30ish, 9:35. Try to say the Amida by 10:30ish, and try to say Mincha sometime between about 1:30 and sundown, and try to say Mariv is after sundown. If not, a little later, 15 minutes, half hour, 42 minutes after sundown. The Seder itself, we should try to start at 8:08 after the sun is down, and plus the stars come out. If you want to get started and greet everyone and tell everybody about the Matzah and Mar, sing a few songs about the Seder before the Kiddush, that's fine, but usually try to make Kiddush after 8:08. You can do Mar before 8:08. Really you're pressed, the family is going crazy, they have to eat, the children have to go to sleep, and this and that. So maybe you could be lenient to at least 15 minutes before that, something like that, 8:08, so about 10 minutes before 8, you could get started. Really in jam, you could maybe 15 minutes after sundown, try as best you can to start later. That's the way it's officially supposed to be done. When children are 2 years old, they need to go to sleep, they go to sleep. I have wonderful children, they thank God, very religious people, and when they were 2 and 1, they went to sleep, they didn't have the Seder. Okay, that's the way it goes. Children have to go to sleep, let them go to sleep. Don't change the whole Seder for the 2-year-old. Now, when it comes to the 10-year-old, you should try to keep the child up for the Seder, but they could have age appropriate. If you need to just have the matzah and the mar and go to sleep, they don't have to have the 4 cups. And they get older, try to make the Seder more child friendly and finish the Seder with them as well. What about grape juice? So Rabbi Soloveitchik thought that based on Gemara Bava Basra, Tzadi Zayin, 97, you could use grape juice, not a problem. But the Gemara in Pesachim, there it seems like maybe you need to have the flavor of wine, which means the alcoholic flavor. So Rabbi Feinstein thought you could dilute the wine, even 5-1. So you could certainly have half water, half wine, if wine doesn't agree with you. As a follower of Rabbi Soloveitchik, I think it's okay to have grape juice. But what about red versus white? Unless you're a huge fan of wine, you only like white, maybe. But try to have at least a little blush in it. And ideally, try to use a plain red wine. There's so many beautiful and delicious red wines, kosher red wines. It's not a problem. If you have Gentiles at the Seder, which is its own question, try to have mevushal wine. You don't want Gentiles touching the bottle if it's not mevushal. Finally, what are some themes in the Haggadah that might resonate this year, particularly with the COVID virus and the whole crisis, and people being under sort of a house arrest this year? What themes sort of emerge from that? Number one, we have Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Tarfon. They're sitting. Why are these 5 rabbis getting together? What's going on? Ma'aser Rabbi Akiva, story of Rabbi Akiva and his friends, the 4 friends. What are they doing there? Why are they all by themselves? Where are their students? What's going on? So it could be that there was a time of siege. They were hiding from the Romans, and this reminds us of the situation we're in. The students came and they said, Shacharis is coming. It's time for light. It's time for redemption. It's time for the light of day. They were able to talk about the Exodus, to dream about redemption even in the middle of the night. And that's what the Seder is all about. It's about dreaming about the next day, the end of this crisis, and looking forward to the future. There's another rabbi there, Elazar ben Azariah. He says he was very young, but he was as if he was old, and he was trying to convince people to talk about the Exodus even at night. And what's the big deal? What was so big deal about talking about the Exodus at night? Every night we should talk about the Exodus in the Shema, in the prayer after the Shema called the Emes V'Emunah. What's the big deal? What is he getting at? He's saying that even in darkness, even in exile, even in the COVID virus crisis, we can still look forward to redemption and remember the redemption of old. And Benisa Nigalo, Benisa Sidnaligo, we were once redeemed in this month. We look forward to be redeemed again in this month once again. A Navi will come, tell us about it, and the redemption will take place. The whole story of the Seder, the way it's organized, is always Matchil Bignut, Mesayim Bishvach. You start with the difficult part of the story, and then you get to the good part, the happy ending. And that's what that's what our hope is all about. Yes, right now we're in the difficult part. We're trying to keep safe, stay away from others. We shouldn't infect them, they shouldn't infect us. Flatten the curve, make sure less people are going to get this COVID virus. Then hopefully in the end, Mesayim Bishvach will have a good, it will be a happy ending. We'll come back, we'll be so excited to see our children, our grandchildren, our families, grandmothers. It's going to be wonderful. We're going to have a great joy. The Haggadah speaks at the end as a beautiful blessing before we eat the matzah. It says, we go from slavery to freedom, from darkness to light. There's a lot of transitions here, and we're looking forward to going from the darkness of our homes where we're locked in to the light, God willing, should come soon. My father, Alav Hashem, blessed memory, liked to say that one of the rabbis interpreted that one of the verses means that you should mention the Exodus even when Mashiach comes. Lahavi li Moshe Mashiach. To include that even when Mashiach comes, we'll still mention the Exodus and what happened in days of old. But my father, based on a Hasidic interpretation, said, no, Lahavi li Moshe Mashiach. We mention the Exodus, we tell the story to help bring the ultimate redemption. We're looking forward to the ultimate redemption. Maybe, who knows, maybe this is part of a harbinger of great things to come, because the whole world had to focus on the same crisis and deal with it and try to get a vaccine for each other, try to tell others, how do we quarantine, what do we do, what works, what doesn't work, and the whole world working together. Maybe it's the beginning of something grand, maybe it's the beginning of something good. You know that that we eat the Paschal lamb in the olden days to remember that God saved our homes. And now, so too, we're in our homes. At least we have each other. We have our homes. You have a roof over your head. You have a home. You have your living room, your dining room. Thank God in America, we still have food to eat. We should be thankful for our homes. God saved us in our homes. The home was the beginning of the Paschal Exodus. That first we had the Seder in our home in Egypt. People ate the Paschal lamb, and then, and only then, we went on to build the tabernacle and to go to Israel. First, you start with your home. And now we're all home. Let's make those homes beautiful. Let's say our prayers in our homes. Let's make Pesach in our homes, make a Seder in our homes. And we'll hopefully, one day, God will redeem us as he did then. Finally, it's interesting to note that the Haggadah says that God took us out with a great arm, a strong arm. So what's the strong arm? What was the plague that was really a strong arm? So you could say it's all the plagues, but what particularly? So he said, no. The dever, the pestilence that affected the animals died from some sort of plague. That was the strong hand, because it says, Hinei Yad Hashem Hoya, that the hand of God is going to go against your animals. So the question is, why pestilence? So I saw one of the commentaries said that there's a medrash that says that every plague was accompanied with a pestilence. You can imagine they had lice. There was a plague that went with it. Disease. Frogs, there was a plague that went with it. A dever. And then perhaps we can suggest that at some point that plague went from the animal to human. Like in the Wuhan, it went from perhaps a bat to a human being. There was a transfer from the animal to the human. And all of a sudden, there was eventually, the Makas Bechor, eventually human being was afflicted. First with the shkin, with the leprosy, and later, eventually, with the actual death from the plague. So we hope to be saved from that. Torah says in Parshas Beshalach that whatever plagues the Egyptians had, we will not have it. But let us hope that we will not be afflicted with a plague. Let us hope that God will not just jump over Pasach, but as my father Alav Hashem pointed out, the Targum Onkelos says the official translation of Pesach is Chas, that God should have Rachmanus, God should have mercy on us. God had mercy on us, and He had mercy over our homes, and He didn't allow the avenger to come in and attack our homes. So too, we hope today God will have mercy on our homes. Pesach, God will have mercy on our homes. It's a holiday of mercy. God had mercy on our homes. May God have mercy on our homes again. When we be spared from the virus, may we be spared sharing it, shedding it to other people. May we be spared any death or illness or respirator, anything else. And us and for entire Jewish people and for entire world, may we be spared from this. May we go from darkness to light, feel or gadol, and eventually we'll say hallelujah. We'll thank God for the eventual exodus from this other crises and eventually for the full redemption. Thank you for joining us here at the Anshe Sfar Beth Lemeth congregation here in Memphis, Tennessee, 5780 for our COVID crisis Pesach Workshop. Join us each week for the discussion of the Parsha and the holidays. And thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. Thank you.